Mr. Bello, how are you?
How are you, man?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing great. I have to tell you, you are a prompt individual.
You know why? Let's be honest here. I've been checking with my phone from the publicity agent on this book. I think it's West Coast. I lost my last interview. 11 o'clock, I was supposed to be there. I lost the link. I couldn't find the email anyway, so I felt really guilty. I've been searching. I've been down in my basement here for an hour searching for that last email. I couldn't find it, so you're next up, so I'm sorry.
I love your basement, by the way. It's beautiful down there. You got all
Oh,
sorts of
thanks.
loveliness. And
It's not really crazy done up. It's just like because of COVID, this was the way it was. I made it more homey,
there you
more
go.
homey. And this is where I play and write and all that. I wrote the book here. Yeah, so this is where it is.
Is one of those basses in the back Steve Harris's bass?
That's not the Steve Harris. This is my signature model bass.
Right?
That's I'll get you one. I'll show you something else even though. Can have some fun with you for a second. I'll just put this right here. Who is this? Now can you see that signature?
Yes, I can. Is that Steve's bass right there?
No, that is Mr. Geddy Lee's signature bass.
Oh, no way. That's even better. I know how much of a huge Geddy Lee fan, Rush fan you are.
I
That's
have
amazing.
Steve's over there in the case. My wife's gonna kill me if I keep putting basses out, dude. They're fun to go back, and I always like to get the signature models because you kind of feel what they feel, the bass players. You know what I mean? What they like in their basses. I
Sure.
always find that interesting comparatively. The Steve Harris bass to Geddy Lee's bass. There is a difference in the neck, the feel. Steve Harris, I know this isn't a bass conversation. Steve Harris has the flat wound strings. It's a lot of different. I just like the way you kind of live through them for a second. My heroes. Steve's real bass. I had the honor of playing Steve's real bass before a show. Michael Kinney, his tech, let me wail on it. I was a big kid, man. I was such a little boy. I was like 15-year-old Frank was right there. He put it on me, and man, it was number one. It was really heavy. I said, I can't believe he jumps around and runs around like this. And this bass is extra heavy. I felt it was just a little heavier than I can take every night. But Steve, I mean, I don't know how he does it, but it's a great sound. He's easily the loudest thing on the stage. It's awesome.
Well, I have to tell you, from Steve's a madman on stage, but nobody compares to Mr. Bello on stage. I've seen you
Uh,
15, 20 times, Frank, and you guys put it out there every night
Thank
and
you.
give the fans everything that they can
That's
take.
a great compliment. Thank you. I emulate my heroes. That's the way I do that. I'm lucky enough to do this, and for me, I just want to give it all out there. It makes sense because I don't want to leave anything back that people are paying to see this show, and I just want to put it all out there. I think it's important.
Well, you do, and it's very important. I think that's what's kept the fans and even keeps us coming back show after show after show. I want to thank you for what you brought to us as a
Oh,
fan for
thank
many
you.
many years. Let's talk about the book a little bit. And you dedicate the book to the strong women in your life, and
Yeah.
I think that's you and I can relate in regard to that. I had a lot of strong women, my aunt specifically. Let's talk a little bit about your grandma Tina and some of the other strong women in your life that you talk about and you describe in the book.
My pleasure. I believe I'm pro girl. I'm pro women because I saw it firsthand of what happens when, look, father takes off, whatever, the man of the house takes off. Who's there? Who's left? Who's left to pick up the pieces, really? And in every way, they're all of a sudden, look, after I had to move to my grandmother's house, my mother was alone left alone with 5 kids. So I moved to my grandmother's house because, let's face it, I was getting beat up every day. That's the truth. We lost the house. This is all in the book. After my dad took off, we lost the house. We had to move to a lower income house, and the neighborhood wasn't great. And I walked to school, and every day I literally got my ass kicked, literally every day. And uh, I wasn't going to survive. So we all decided, and thankfully, moved back to the Bronx. Bronx. I moved in with my grandmother in the Bronx, and my grandmother, my aunt, who also lived in the house, they were the strong women in my life, including my mom, and were we were dad, mom, and dad. So the way they brought me up to be who I am today, the man I am today, and I'm very proud of that. So I'm all pro girl all the time. I believe in strong women, and they have a strength. They have an inner strength that's undeniable, and I love that about them.
you move into your St. Tina's house and you happen to be living with, of course, your uncle, Charlie Benante. So did you guys ever throw hands back in the day? I'm sure you guys had little quarrels.
You should ask the neighborhood about that. Yeah,
That was another question I was going to ask you. Charlie and you guys are starting out as musicians at that time, and I love Charlie's drumming. I think he's one of the
he's awesome.
greatest in the industry. Did you guys drive your neighbors crazy with that stuff, especially early in the day?
Yeah, Charlie had the big drum set in his room upstairs. It was awesome because, and look, when I talk about complaining, people, they were banging on the walls. It's all Bronx school stuff, right? It's all that Bronx stuff. It's like, come on, it's fucking loud. You hear that because Charlie had this big set. He's going fucking nuts with double bass. It's amazing. It was amazing that actually, I don't even know if that could happen today without the cops being called, because the cops weren't called a lot, maybe once or twice. But for the most part, it was always bang, 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 lower it down. And there were times we were also respectful. Even when I started playing, we were also respectful about what times. Like after a certain time, you're not going to play 9 o'clock, 10. You're not going to do that. People have to go to work. You don't do that. So you're respectful. Like when you get home from school, you play, blah, 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 get it done. There was also another friend of mine, Nick, on the other side who played drums of these poor people said they had stereo of 2 drummers, that side and this side, and they were in the middle. So they knew Charlie played since he's 4 years old, and he was always a great drummer. So he's playing in that house being loud, and it was good. It wasn't like that, like Peter Brady, on the Brady Bunch, that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't all over the place. Charlie was really good. So I guess when you heard it was pleasant to hear because it made sense. And
Well,
when I
especially
played, I tried to be respectful.
well, especially if he started at 4. I didn't realize he started playing that early, and he's just
Charlie was,
I don't think a
made
lot
to
of
be.
people understand how accomplished of a musician that Charlie actually is, from playing guitar and playing piano and all
Absolutely.
that. So if you follow the band, I think you understand that. But some people just out on the street don't realize that the technical wizardry as far as the overall playing as a musician that Charlie actually is. So I think he deserves a little bit more respect than he actually gets. But
Absolutely.
that's here nor there.
Charlie's always been literally one of the best drummers. And I'll say this as a bass player. I'm not the hell with the family thing, right? I'm saying this as a bass player, as a musician, and as a fan. Charlie is still one of the best drummers out there. I'll say that, and not because I'm in his band. I don't give a shit. I'm just a fan. I see what he comes up with. I see what he does every night, and I still go, "What the fuck was that?"
How important was your Uncle Joe to your development? Mine, I'm the funkle, the fun uncle, I guess, but I always tell my nieces and nephews, and you talk about this with Joe, about the condoms, and hey, make sure you're wearing a condom over here. I always bring up to my nieces and nephews, what's the most important word? Condom. No bumps, no babies. And they get it.
Let's face it. Look, I grew up in that. Just so you guys know about this, I grew up in the Bronx. My Uncle Joe had a deli right around the corner from me that I used to come home from school, go right to the deli and work. That's what we did. And remember, no father figure here, so my Uncle Joe kind of took that role, and he showed me the ways of life in the deli. And in that deli, not only was a lot of cold cuts cutting and all that stuff, stocking shelves, and it was work, $2 an hour. But at the same time, this is all in the book. At the same time, as I got older and I worked in the deli, I was dating girls. I started to, the girls that came in, you'd be, fun, and you start yapping away to them, and you started dating girls. So Joe saw what I was doing. He knew, Uncle Joe, he knew what I was doing. So he grabs me on the side one day. He put rubber, you're putting a rubber on that thing, right? He just says it straight out. You're putting a rubber on that thing, right?
The hammer, I think it was referred to in the book.
Yeah, I'm trying to be good. But it's really, I cherish those moments because I didn't have that from a dad to show me the ropes. It's funny, my son's 15 now, and I think his age, he's in school now, but I think of his age, my Uncle Joe already had the talk with me back then, and I've had these conversations with my son about condoms and stuff, how to be prepared, how to be smart, because you have to. In these days, you have to.
Sure.
But I cherish those moments with my Uncle Joe because that's where I grew up. That's where I really grew up, and that got me ready for the road, for almost like life with Anthrax. Because right after that was like the holding pattern because right after that I went right into the band Anthrax. And I went on the road right after that deli. I finished school, graduated, and man, I went right into the deli and right into the rock world and on tour. And It was a great, I think about it, man. It's a great question because that really prepared me. And Uncle Joe prepared me of how to be a man.
The great one always says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And from the book, you don't shy away from taking shots, my friend, if it's from movies, music, whatever you do. And it's a big part of the book. And there's so many life lessons that I really appreciated from reading your book. Talk a little bit about when you're putting the book together, how you're bringing these life lessons into play. And I mean, your drive is unbelievable.
It is, and here's why it is, Travis, because, and thank you for that. Um, my drive comes from, I just want to, I think now I'm in a reflective time of my life right now. Just through, look, everybody's going through a really tough time in this world. Something we've never seen with this COVID thing, right? I've run into a lot of people who had the same things that I went through in their life. Abandonment, abandonment is a big deal, man. It's a big deal. And and you can either fall down and stay down, or you can get up and move on, and brush yourself off and move on. And the one thing I always promised myself this, I said when I was younger, I will never let my son go through what I went through. I will always be there for him. The life lessons that I've learned, that I'm very fortunate to have now, some from my Uncle Joe we were just talking about, a lot just from life, a lot just from, make sure you do your school stuff, have that energy to get you up, because look, it's so easy. It's so easy. And this is really why I wrote the book, and it's so important. It's so easy to stay down there when somebody life beats you down, right? It's so easy to stay down. But why wouldn't you get up and say, I'm going to try and get up and brush myself off? Because sometimes you just need a little inspiration. It's like a little spark. Come on, get up, let's go. That's it. Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. Whatever gets you to get up and move on. Just don't be stuck. And I'm tired of people. I'm tired of people being down. I am. I'm trying. I have family that's down. Believe me, this whole thing that's going on now. People sick. My neighbors. My neighbor. It really hit me while I was writing the book. My neighbor Joe, rest his soul. He's 49 years old. Just had a new baby. Just had a new baby. Guy's in good shape and everything like that. COVID got him, dude. COVID got him, and he's gone. And it drives me crazy. My neighbor Tony across the street, he was in a coma for 3 months.
Wow.
So I see, and he got out. I couldn't believe he came back, thank God. But I see a lot of people down, and I'm just, everybody's down and out. And I just said, let's write a book that's positive and just make people feel better about things.
And I think that's exactly what I got out of it, Frank. It's like no matter what happens, and you talk about obviously losing your brother and your dad walking out, and a lot of other things and situations that you've gone through personally. But you always seem to pick yourself back up no matter what the situation and keep moving forward. And a lot of people have problems going out and getting the professional therapy that you went and got yourself. I mean, we all get therapy from metal and from music and being that community, which you guys are a big part of, but you went out and got professional help. What drove you to get the professional help? And what do you say to people that have an issue going out and retaining, a professional in that capacity?
I say to them, I was you. I was absolutely you, because I was afraid. First off, it was like a bravado thing, or I was like, I don't need therapy. I don't need that. The hell with that. Like trying to deal with my brother's loss. And for people who haven't read the book yet, my brother was murdered at 23 years old. I went through a really dark time after that. I became a hunter. It's a really, really dark place that you'll read the book and you'll understand.
Sure.
But I got out of that. I dove right into therapy after that. And because if I didn't, I would either be dead or in jail. And that's the God's honest truth. So I believe in therapy. I think people think if I go into therapy, people are going to think I'm crazy. It has nothing to do with that. It's just they teach you different ways to look at things in your life that you're going through. That's really what it is. My therapist taught me to look at my life in a different way, and my situation, like my brother's death, how to deal with that. You're never going to get rid of these issues. You learn how to cope with them. That's important. That's what's really important. Again, I didn't write a self-help book, but I wrote what happened to me. And if this helps you, that's what I want. I mean, then it's done its job. But I think, look, you pay it forward at this point in life. It's like, dude, I went through this shit. Believe me. And if you say to yourself, Frank did it, I did it, I can do it. That's what I want. I want you to just feel that there's somewhere else to go. There's somewhere else to go. I went through a lot of therapy, and it helped. I'm not cured. I don't think anybody ever is. but I know how to deal with it. I have the tools now, and that's the
Sure.
truth. I do have the tools. And look, everybody's got bad days, and I do myself. But I think really in a real way, it really helped me to sustain life. How about that?
Sure, absolutely. We're talking with Frank Bello, obviously of Anthrax, in his book, Fathers, Brothers, and Sons, Surviving Anguish, Abandonment, and Anthrax. Let's talk about some other positive things, Frank. You know,
Bring it
a
up.
lot of people didn't know that you were an actor or did TV, did some movies, and I got a big question for you, Frank. You know, this is probably the biggest one of the interview right here.
Bring it on.
Goodfellas or The Departed?
Goodfellas, hands down. No,
Hands
no, no.
down.
And here's why. No disrespect. Departed is good. Departed is good. Number one, you'll never touch De Niro, Scorsese, Joe Pesci, all that, Sorvino, all that kick-ass crew right there.
Sure,
I love Leo. Leo's a good actor, but to me, not in that, not in that zone, man. There's a different zone that,
sure.
unfortunately, and you've seen it with The Irishman, that kind of, and that's why I felt so bad about seeing The Irishman. I thought it was a little long. It was a good movie. It wasn't one of the classics, but the thing I felt about The Irishman is that I'm seeing these guys for the last time on film. I could tell. You could
Sure.
see that, and I hope not. I hope not. But because it took so long to get that film done. But if you ask, Goodfellas is right here. You got The Godfather, obviously, but
Mhm.
for me, Goodfellas, just for the dialogue, how Scorsese just let them fly. Just let them fly, and I love that. The Departed is a good movie, and I love Nicholson too. You know what I mean? It's all good, but it didn't have that extra spice that I need.
I just love the Wahlberg part at the end,
Awesome,
man. Fantastic ending of
awesome.
that movie. Loved
And in
it.
fact, exactly, I love the ending. I love the ending of it.
I know you watch, Me TV. I'm a Me TV kind of guy. I
Ah,
love
dude,
Leave It to Be. I've watched every episode of Leave It to Beaver multiple times. That Eddie Haskell, what a pisser that guy is,
dude.
Ken
It's
Os.
funny. I just saw some cast. I was at this horror convention, and they had some of the cast from Leave It to Beaver there. I
Unreal,
just saw them.
right?
I felt bad because I get it. You're making money, you're signing and stuff, and we all do it. But I
Sure.
felt bad that I wonder how many of the new kids know how great these shows were. There's nothing wrong with that. I just would hope that they would watch some of these great classic television shows to see the richness of the writing and just it was innocence. I think that's why I like it too. It was very innocent. It brought us back to a great time.
One of the greatest lines of all time. Ward, I think you're a little hard on the beaver. I mean, you can't forget
That could
that,
go so many places. Think about that.
Right? Exactly.
I think I wrote this in the book. Mary Tyler Moore, for me, is still the quintessential television sitcom. What do you call it? It's the best writing on television. If people like, I own every one of those Mary Tyler Moore episodes, like double or maybe triple now. I love stuff like that. I'm watching the newer stuff that's out there now on regular television, like the regular stations, ABC, all that stuff, CBS. I just don't think the writing's there.
You mentioned this a couple times in the book. You go in and you say safe home. Was safe home written about your grandma Tina's house, or where did that
No, that
come
was written about that. Scott wrote the lyrics on that, and he wrote it about, I think, his wife, because it was his safe home, which I love. I think we could all identify with it.
Sure.
We could use it in our own thing. But yeah, I think Scott wrote it about his wife, that she's his safe home, which I think is beautiful anyway. Yeah, I love that. For me, that was my safe home. Tina Babes, my grandmother, after what I went through, and look, everybody's got a bad story in their life. This is my story. So after coming from dad taking off, losing the house, going into a bad neighborhood, getting my ass kicked every day, coming into my grandmother's house, you have to understand. So all I can remember when I went into the house, starting a new school, back in the Bronx, all I can remember is that maybe these guys won't be kicking my ass anymore. So that was like the weight was lifted off my shoulders, that maybe I can go to school one day and not get the shit kicked out of me and be kicked under cars. I mean, that's what school came to me. I mean, that's what it was after a while.
Sure.
Every day I walked there, I used to go with cuts to school because these guys didn't stop, and that's why if I hear the word bully, I get fucking nuts. I
Oh,
get
I'm sure.
nuts, because
I,
it strikes home for me big time. That's also a big deal with therapy, because that all scars you when you're younger, and you bring that through life. So that helps you through. For other people are still thinking about therapy, that actually helps you with it. You can talk about that and learn how to deal with that in a better way and make you look at it in a different way. It really helped.
Sure. I think, I have a lot of friends that I think could actually use professional help. And I'm hoping somewhere down the road, they actually watch this and can see how much it's helped your life in particular. It's obvious. It's obvious, Frank, that this has helped you considerably. I want to ask you while we're on the topic of sound, do you miss playing those songs? Some of them are
It's almost
so
something a
great.
set up question because I could tell you what's going on. I just did. I'm doing a few appearances for this, like a book tour for this for the book, and I brought acoustic guitar with me to do some songs. I figured I'd be talking. I wrote a song for my brother called "Pieces" when he
Sure.
passed, and it's in the book. You read. That was on. It's a hidden track on Volume 8, on the Anthrax record, Volume 8. If you go that, the last song, I believe it's a hidden track. It's called "Pieces," but
Hmm.
it's not on the record. But you just have to listen, and it's there. It's an acoustic song. I wrote it for my brother when he passed because I never got a chance to say goodbye to him. And crazy enough, I'm getting so many. I've gotten over the years, but now since this has come out with the book, I'm getting so many comments and letters about that song and how it's helped people heal for their loss. They're connecting with that song, and they're connecting with it with their own loss in their life. So it went a long way, that song, because all I was doing was saying goodbye to my brother, who I never had the chance to say goodbye to. So I wrote it when Anthrax. We had to do a Japanese tour 3 weeks after he passed. It was a very traumatic thing. It
Sure.
was rough. So I on that tour, all I asked the guys, I said, please just let me go to my room and cry. And when it's showtime, pull me out. I'll play the show, and then I'll go back and just let me cry more. And I had an acoustic guitar in that room in Japan, and this was me saying goodbye to Anthony, that song. And it was very, very cathartic and very helpful for me. And apparently, thankfully, it's helping other people too, which is all you could ask for. It's the ultimate compliment.
Sure.
So I do that song on some of these shows. I just did one Saturday. It was great. I did a song called "Booze and Cigarettes" for Tina Babes because I wrote
Hmm.
that song for her. You know the Dave Ellison, right, from
Of
Megadeth?
course. Of course.
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah,
Frank,
yeah.
on my Mount Rushmore of bass players, okay, it's very simple. Billy Sheehan, Steve Harris, Ellefson, and of course yourself on the end. I
I'm
think,
honored. Dave and I, a few years back, did this a side project called Altitudes and Attitude, and we put a record together on Megaforce Records. And it did well. People liked that record a lot. And I had this song on it that I wrote for my grandmother when she was going through chemo. Remember, she passed from cancer. This is all in the book.
sorry.
So it was stage 4 lung cancer, and unfortunately, um, when I brought her to chemo, I was wheeling her, and I just tried to make her smile because it was the obvious. Everybody, she knew what was going on. We all knew. All I wanted to do was see a smile out of her face, that beautiful face that I love, and I just wanted to make her feel better. How can I make this woman feel better? So as I'm wheeling her, I'd make up any stupid joke that came in my mind. I would just say, "Come on, Graham, we'll stop at a liquor store. I'll get you some booze and cigarettes. We'll party it up." And that made her smile. That made her, something as ridiculous as that sounds, booze and cigarettes. She looked up to me and goes, "Shut up, Frank!" And that saw me smile. So so I wrote this song called "Booze and Cigarettes," which has nothing to do with booze or cigarettes in the party fashion. It's really about making my grandmother laugh. So I did this song also, people relating that from the book, because the story of the book. And one more song I did that you'll be surprised at, because I was screwing around in my living room one day with an acoustic, and I was thinking about John Bush, and he's a great friend of mine. I love him and all that stuff. We had a great time in Anthrax, and I started jamming this song only. I just started jamming it. So I said, "Why? You know what? I'm going to ask the crowd if they want to hear one more song and just surprise them." And I said, "Look." So I did this on Saturday. I've done it a couple of times already. I said, "Look, I'll do this if you guys want to hear it, and if you sing it with me." Everybody in that place sang the whole thing. It was awesome. It was fun, and it was just me and an acoustic guitar and the crowd singing with me, and I loved it. And it made me remember those times with John, and I loved that time. So those songs, to answer your question, yes, I do miss playing them, and I would love to play more of them. But as you know, we have a few records in our life.
Yeah.
It's a big
Yeah.
catalog.
Uh-huh.
So what do you do? I love Joey Belladonna. We have a great time. We're writing a new record, everybody together. So I look forward to the future. But that was a great time in Anthrax's career, and
Oh, I agree.
I cherish those times.
I like all of it, Frank.
And
So
me
I'm
too.
not
I
gonna.
like both bands. And I call them two bands that I'm lucky enough to be part of. That's the way I look at it.
So, you talk about you in the book. Once again, you playing sports back in the day. I know that there was one point in there about shooting hoops, and I don't know if you know this about Bush, Frank, but he is the unsigned, unofficial member of the Lakers championship team. And from what he says and what Gonzo says, he can shoot the rock. Who's better at basketball, you or Bush?
Bush, I'll tell you why. Bush has got a great outside. He's a lefty.
Mhm.
He's a lefty. He's got a great outside shot. He'll go around and he'll just stop you straight. And man, he's always in. He's got a great shot. I mean, we haven't played. I'm talking years and years.
Sure.
But we used to play, together. It was great. And when the backstages had had like a hoop up, it was great. But he's much better than me. He's got an actual natural shot. That's what he's got. It's awesome.
He's not shy about talking about. I talked to John earlier in the year when they released "Punching the Sky," and what a great guy, really
I
great
love
guy.
John. I love all of Armored Sand. John Bush. You have to understand. John Bush stayed in my house with my wife. He was our roommate for like it was a month. It was a month while we were writing one of the records. So he was like literally every day, breakfast, lunch, and so I loved it. We got to be very close, and I love John. I love his family, and that band is great. They're all my good friends. So Armored Saint rocks.
You talk about retiring somewhere down the road, and I think you might retire from music, but I can never see you retiring from acting. I mean, have you written anything? I mean, I know
Have I written anything? No, not acting wise, but I'm a fan of performing. Performing. I mean, look, for those of you who haven't read the book yet, I mean, I've been studying, and it's not. I can give a shit about fame. You guys know me at this point.
Mhm.
Fame is bullshit. I've studied acting for probably over 20 years now. Theater. I live in New York. So my thing was you go downtown, you do a small play when Anthrax is off tour. Anthrax was always first. That's my baby, right?
Of course.
So that always had to come first. But when I'm off tour, when I was off tour, I usually just dive back into my acting class and do theater and whenever I could pick up until I had to go on tour and audition and stuff like that. That I just found, and it's funny we're talking about this now because in talking about therapy, and I've been thinking as I was writing the book, I said, why was I so into acting? We know the famous bullshit. And I just love performing, yes, but also I realized that the acting thing, it made me realize who I was. Like it made me find myself. Like the truth. I guess the line is, acting is truth through imaginary circumstances. So you want to live your truth through imaginary circumstances. I was digging. I was with all those classes and all that stuff I did with that. I was digging to find me, and that's this is through therapy, by the way. This is all through therapy. I found this out. It's like why am I so into that? Why do I want to be in other characters? Because you're finding yourself in those characters. That's the answer. That's what I found after a lot of years of therapy and stuff. So it worked out that was my drive, and it still is because I love doing it, living in somebody else's life. I think that's really interesting and giving.
Is there one character that you aspire to play?
Look, and we were talking about this, you and I were talking about this before, but before I die, if I can get one line in a Scorsese film, one line, I don't need anything else. It could be, hey guy, or whatever the fuck it is. One line.
Hey guy.
Yeah, hey guys, whatever it is, give me an exit role. I don't even care whatever it is, but one line to say I Scorsese saw what I did. That's it, because I've never met him, but I'm such a diehard fan of what he does and what he has done and how he works with his actors and how he lets them free. He lets them go and be themselves. I think that's really important. So yeah, that would be, if that's my wish, but that'll never happen. Look, Martin, if you're watching this, call me up.
Hold on a minute here. Okay. You say it'll never happen.
Yeah.
But Frank, you met Steve Harris by knocking on a window, basically at a restaurant where he happened to be sitting. You knocked on doors, you walked through doors, and once again, you take the initiative. So you saying that this might not happen, I don't believe that at all, my friend. I don't believe it at all.
See, if I say that, if I put it out there, it's not going to happen. See how the universe will turn that around. And I'll be talking to you on another interview. It happened. It fucking happened, right? That's what I want to happen. So if I put it out there, it'll never happen. The universe is going to turn that around and say, you know what, this could happen. Let's fit this puzzle in. Well, it's going to happen right here. I would love that. That's the crazy things that go on in my mind. My dream would be, just let me do a monologue for you, Martin Scorsese. I would love that. You know, it's just something that the work is that at that level, and to me, he's one of the dying breeds. You know, I don't see a lot of people like that doing what he's done. Unfortunately, there's a lot of great directors out there, but for me, that's the top, man. It's Coppola too, but Scorsese for me, he's done. I mean, as an Italian American, also he's also done a lot of Italian American films that I
You're
love.
Italian, Frank? I would have never thought
No,
you
you
were
couldn't
Italian.
tell that, right? Yeah.
No, no, not at
In
all.
fact, when
Not
I'm
at all.
comfortable, it even comes out more, which is bad. So
Hey,
it's
your
terrible.
favorite food, I believe, is eggplant parm, or one of your favorite foods, and you're allergic to eggplant skin. That's just crazy
The
in
skin,
itself.
the skin. With my grandmother, you guys, when you read the book, you'll understand this. The skin she took off just for me because she knew I got itchy around the lips. I get some hives and stuff like that. You know what? She took it off. It was. And tell you something, I love that. My grandmother, she was the best. When she cooked that, I would share it with you, and you say you were right, Frank.
You talk about the Big Four show. You talk about New York Steel. Is there one show that you've put on throughout that just sticks out, or would it be one of those two? Like your most memorable show that you've done on stage ever?
Yeah, you know, you have to say Yankee Stadium. There's a lot of them in my life. I've been very, very fortunate. I'm very thankful and grateful for everything we've gone through. And you, again, this is a time in my life. I guess I'm looking back because we're in this time of holding. We're all in a holding pattern right now, right? So you kind of reflect on what you've done. That's where I'm at right now. So you look at Anthrax's career. Yeah, Yankee Stadium is a Bronx-born guy growing up 10 minutes from Yankee Stadium, a diehard Yankee fan. You don't, and when you start playing music, you don't think that, you don't put that into the equation that Yankee Stadium could be a thing that you can play in your life. Or you think, growing up in New York, you think um, the highest you can go is Madison Square Garden, which we
Sure.
did with Clash of the Titans, and we headlined it. It was awesome. I remember that show backstage and looking at the Garden at soundcheck. This is it. This was it. And then we got the Big Four thing going, and when I got that call, when Yankee Stadium was like on, there was nothing. I was so afraid that was going to be pulled away from us, like all the time leading up to that show. I said, man, please don't pull this away from us, please, because I just wanted to walk in as a musician, not as a ball player, as a musician, not as a fan, and say, I can't. And I did that, and I looked at the stadium and the empty stadium before the show, and I said, wow, this we're playing Yankee Stadium, and that was a big deal to me. I went. They let me in the dugout. I did all of the above, everything you want to do. The only thing you couldn't do is go into the Yankee, the dressing room, the locker room, because that was their personal stuff, and I get it. Maybe Metallica had, I don't even know, but I know Anthrax wasn't invited there.
Damn you, Metallica!
Damn
Damn
it!
you!
No, but I don't even know if they got in it either because the players usually have personal stuff in there, so they
Sure.
don't allow that to happen.
Hey, nobody wants to be messing around with Derek Jeter's jockstrap right in at that time. Hey, come on now.
To each
Uh,
his own, man.
so you talk about baseball, and I know you're a Yankee fan. 1979, huge movie in my life comes out. One of the best scenes ever, the baseball Furies and the Warriors. You see that at the
Of
theater back
course.
in the day?
Many a time. You know, I just was at a horror convention where the cast from the Warriors were there.
Oh, no way.
So he was signing autographs and stuff, and they still had the bats and everything, dude. It was
Oh, man.
crazy. One of the main dude, what was the main actor's guy? Remember the leather vest? What was his name?
Swan? Swan?
Yes, he
Hmm.
was there. He was there. It was cool. I mean, there's people there, so I didn't wait or anything, but it was cool to see that they're still carrying that, which is great. That I love that movie.
It's one of my top five of all time, Frank.
That's a great movie. And I mean, the whole subway thing, it's crazy. It was in Central Park, all that. That was a
The
crazy
Coney,
look
the
of the
Coney
ride.
Island, the Ferris wheel, all that. The soundtrack was fantastic. I
Yeah,
mean,
it was a very gritty kind of movie, like a 70s movie. You felt like that. I love 70s movies. That was one of
sure.
the great 70s movies.
I appreciated what you brought up with old New York and the grittiness of it. Talk about that, about what you brought that in the book.
I just wanted to be honest with it, the way I really feel about it now. Like I want to take you through it, what I went through when I grew up. And yes, New York City was, yeah, crime we all have it, right? We just
Sure.
talked about every Chicago. We all have it. Every city has it. But there was there's a seediness. That seediness. You got the porn shops, all that stuff. But the great thing they had was the neighborhood. The neighborhood, like neighborhood people, the mom and pop shops, those great little mom and pop shops, the people that grew up in these shops, they had their kids grow up in the shop and make it a success. And all those, most of them, and I'm talking about now, if you walk down there now, the stuff that I grew up with is swept away from big money, and they're all, for the most part, condos, which
Sure.
really, it rips your heart out as a New Yorker, because those characters in those stores that had, God, these great character people. They had accents. They, from whatever country they were. I love it because they were all bringing this melting pot together. And
Sure.
I think that's what's great about New York and cities like this. All these great people come from around the world and make these great characters. And when that big money comes in and these mom and pop shops can't afford to stay anymore because the price went too high for their land, they're gutted out, and doesn't matter what kind of history they built. They gut them out and they slap these new horrible, ugly looking condos that are nothing that New York City really is.
It
So
takes
for
the
me, when I
soul.
walk by, I'm like, man, this used to be this, and this used to be this, and now you see this big, ugly, you know, shiny, whatever, condo, and it's just like these people that you lived here were great. They were characters. They were mom and pop shop. They had their families in here. They were beautiful people. These were all great. Just it built New York. I felt like that was the substance of New York, and a lot of that, most of it, I'll say, because I walk around the city a lot now. A lot of it's gone, except maybe the Village, not as much, but Greenwich Village and Soho. But there's still this. A lot of it's gone, and that's upsetting to me.
Yeah, I caught the tail end of the, if you want to call, I don't know, the revitalization of downtown and Times
That's the
Square
word.
and all that. And you
That's
know what? We went to Daddy Long Legs. We went to the damn pop up, quarter dollar peep shows or whatever it was. But I
I've
mean,
been there.
those
To
were
be
all.
honest, me and my friends, when we were younger, that's how we look. That's how we grew up. We went in the peep shows. That's how we saw all that stuff. It was look again. The seediness was there. I don't want anybody get hurt or anything. I
Of
don't want
course.
crime or anything.
Mhm.
But there was a vibe. There was a vibe. Now it's corporate almost. It's
Sure.
almost, and that's the worst. Isn't that the worst word when you hear corporate? That
Of course.
just you might as well just take your heart out and just get away.
Well, it takes the soul out of everything, Frank. It
Soul.
just the
That's the
soul.
better word.
And
Soul.
you brought this up numerous, the character and soul. I think we're missing a lot of that these days, unless you go to an Anthrax show. And
Huh.
what's funny about this is, I was at Rocklahoma this year, and I was just at Rockville. And the
Mm.
reason why I went to Rockville this year is because my 70-year-old aunt said, I want to see Metallica before I pass. I want to see Metallica. So I'm like, all right, so would you go Friday or do we go Sunday? And I looked at the lineup and I go, well, you got to go see one of my all-time favorite bands, in Anthrax.
Oh,
And
thank you.
where I'm going with this, right before you get started, we're about 35 people deep from the stage. And I'm like, okay, I don't think Amash is going to break out. She should be fine. She's
Yeah.
literally 5 feet tall, Frank. She's
Oh,
like this.
wow.
Next thing you know, we're 3 songs into the set, and I believe the opening notes, the Cotton Amash starts, and one big guy, just starts rolling around. I'm like, this could be problematic.
I'm
There's
worried,
gonna be
dude.
an issue, right? I'm like, this guy's got nothing. This guy's got nothing. Well, next thing you know, there's 40 people rolling around in the pit. And I put my aunt back here. I grabbed 2 other guys. We basically circle around her. We're pushing people up. It was amazing, Frank. Absolutely. It's one.
Is she okay? Is she
Oh
okay?
yeah. Oh, no
Okay,
problem.
good.
Big smile on her face. And the kicker to the whole story is we're at breakfast the next morning, and we're sitting there, we're having coffee, we're at the Home to Suites right across the street from the Speedway. And I'm looking at the coffee pot. I'm like, that's fucking Joey Belladonna right there at the coffee pot. So I introduce my aunt to him, and they talk for, 15, 20 minutes. And
Yeah.
Joey was the nicest guy ever. He talked to everybody in the lobby.
Yeah, he's a great dude. He's easy to talk to, and it figures he's a caffeine achiever, Joey. He loves the bean.
Well,
He
I
loves.
think you love yourself some caffeine too, you and
Well,
Ellison.
absolutely, and you know what? Since the last couple of years, I've had to give up caffeine, which drives me crazy. My doctor straight out told me, and that it hurts me even to say those words. Even to say those words, I had to cut out caffeine. I still have enough energy. I'm not worried about energy, but uh, the bean, like my wife just made a beautiful pot of coffee. I could still smell right now. I want it so bad, and if I have it, my doctor's right here in my head, like this, and I'm like, oh, it's just one of those things I can't because my gut, something with my gut, it fucks me up. I can't.
So is that why you're sponsored by Monster Energy Drink?
Monster Energy rocks. They're great. They have a great coffee. Have you ever tasted that?
No, I have not.
That'll get you flying. That feels good.
I'm sending this clip directly to Monster, by the way.
Oh, they'll love it. They know me. Right there, baby. See that?
There it is. There it
It's
is.
always around. It's so
Seriously.
popular. It's so great because even when I walk around the street, I have this great Monster jacket. And it's winter here in New York now. It's not even fall. It's winter again. I put it on. Some guy at the gas station. Hey, where'd you get that Monster jacket? And I said, I'm friends with somebody. I said, you can't just buy them. But everybody loves the logo. It's awesome.
You guys have always been so approachable, and we appreciate it. And you said something in the book that you feed off us, and
Totally.
we feed off you. It's a perfect synergy, and I think that's
Totally
what
is.
makes this community so special.
It's
But
one energy. The both of us together, the musician, the fan, together builds that great energy. It's not just one-sided. It really isn't. You need both to create that great energy. That's the truth.
I talked to Rob Halford about a year ago or so. I was like, who you talk about meeting all these people, the Queen, Jimmy Page, Madonna. Who is your top fanboy moment? And he said Jimmy Page. And you have some of these also that you talk about in the book: Bruce Springsteen, Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, and so on and so on. Steve Harris, obviously, and of course Gene Simmons, who wrote the foreword to the book.
Yes.
Who is your number one fanboy moment?
It's a great question because I've been very fortunate to meet a lot of people in my life. That Clint Eastwood thing was big because it was right after the Married with Children thing we did.
Very jealous about that Married with Children
It was
situation.
awesome. And my time with Ed O'Neill, having a beer with him and picking his head was awesome. Clint Eastwood's cool, yeah, but I have to say, like, oh God, my first time meeting Kiss was so influential for me. It was so big, and Steve Harris because those guys taught me how to treat fans because I was such a
Sure.
fan and how kind they were to me. Just talking to me, they made me feel like I was one on one, even though they were elevated in my life. You know, they
Sure.
were the guys, the heroes, but they brought me to like a real human place, and that's why I'll always remember that. As I say it in the book, that taught me the lesson right back then. If you ever get any kind of success in this business, this is how you treat your fans. This is how you treat people one on one and be cool to them because nobody's better than anybody in this life. It's like, look, we're fortunate enough to play music for a living, all that. They're supporting you. Why would you be a dick? Like I've heard these dick stories, right? These people
Sure.
being not so cool to fans. That doesn't make sense. And everybody's got their bad days. I had my bad days, but for the most part, you just be normal. So I guess I can go across. It has to be my first time meeting Kiss, my first time meeting Gene and Paul and Ocoee Management in the city. That was pretty. Oh my God, that was bigger than life. They were my heroes. I'm actually meeting my heroes. Those were the days when remember they weren't seen without their makeup and they covered their faces. We were fortunate enough to see them without their makeup, and we felt extra special.
Oh,
You
of
know what I mean?
course.
Because like we're getting to see something that nobody else is seeing right now. I see Paul Stanley's face without the star on. It was these little things that go through your mind when you're a fan. How does Gene look without his makeup on? That's Gene Simmons. Wait, I can see it. His hair is it's without the loop on top, like the ponytail on top, but he just has it. And you kind of think these things. So those were very special times for me specifically the first time because it was like I got to see something that I never thought I'd see Kiss without their makeup. It was very special. And then you can go into look. I met many comedians in my life that I love. Jerry Seinfeld. These great people that were very nice. Just along the way, a lot of people have been really cool to me. And then I don't I'll feel it out though. If I want to meet somebody, I'm going to dart for them. But if there's a weirdness, I just back
You
off
gotta
because I
pull
know
back, right?
you know that vibe. Remember we did Seth Meyers, Seth Meyers show. It just so happened it all worked out this way. The gods were looking at us that day because we're all diehard De Niro fans, and it just so happens that who was the guest booked on with Anthrax that day? The main guest,
Come on.
dude. I have photos to prove it. If you look in that in my website and stuff, I have pictures of that. I posted it. Robert De Niro, and the craziest thing is seeing the dressing rooms. It said, it had the sign up Robert De Niro's dressing room there, right next door, Anthrax. How sick is that? You would never see that in any other life, right? You never think that. And there was so we were waiting for him to show up. So he came in late with his posse. He had a bunch of people with him, and all we wanted to do was get a picture with him. Nobody wanted to bother him, because it was De Niro, dude. You don't fuck De Niro, right? So I think maybe Charlie mentioned as he was leaving, because he did a segment, he was about to leave with all his posse, and I think Charlie just said, "Hey Rob, hey Bob, Robert, can we have a picture?" And he said, he goes, "Oh, cool." And not man of few words.
That's pretty good, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah. Oh, all right. So you guys, come on. Everybody gathered around him, and we have this great band shot, Anthrax and some of our crew, with Robert De Niro, and that was another one of those. You asked the question before, who's the guy? That was the guy. I would love to meet Joe Pesci also. I've never met Joe Pesci because I think he's an underrated, amazing actor.
Who would you rather hang out with, actors or musicians?
I have a lot of friends who are good actors and some famous actor friends. They're fun. If I find successful actors don't have to talk about themselves anymore. You know what I mean? So that's you want to get past that point. For musicians, I'm at home. I'm at home with the musicians. So actors, when they're on the way up and they're trying, they always have to give you their resume. That gets boring after 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So musicians know where they're at. They're just trying to write a riff, and I've lived that life. So I guess musicians, and I have a lot of great friends that we're at one or two bars in our life.
1987, you refer to this in the book, Monsters of Rock. You're
Here
in
it
the
comes.
can. I'll make it short. Is it Blackie?
The question of the book. This is the question. I get this everywhere. People coming up to me in the street now if they read the book and saying,
Come on.
"Who is the guy?" I've sworn to secrecy on this. I swear to God, I have. I can't say it, but I want you to think about it. That's it. Just think about it, and you probably know. I just can't say it. But who is this person that had to take a shit? But I've never, to this day, just so you know, I've never dealt with that again, like the way that was. That's how much of an imprint it left in my mind for somebody to throw me out while I'm taking a straight out whiz. Like every man and woman in the world. How do you stop somebody midstream because you have to poop? How does that work?
The balls on somebody to do that. That's
But
insane.
that person didn't even do it. He had somebody get some amazingly big guy. And just imagine, dude, you're in midstream. You're in midstream peeing right before the Anthrax. We were going on stage. You have to do it before I empty out before I go on stage. I pee.
Sure.
Everybody pees. I have to do
You're
it.
full
It's
of
like
Monster
this.
Energy. What the hell? Yeah.
Exactly. So you go, you pee. All of a sudden you get this big head. You got to go.
I'm going right now. Can't you tell?
I'm going. And you know what happens when somebody's talking to you and interrupts your pee? The stream stops. So you didn't finish your pee. So now you got to start that shit up again. And it's like, and I got to wait longer. It was that. It was not cool. And I didn't appreciate it. And it's in the book because it needed to be in the book. But obviously I couldn't name the person.
Oh, I love it. I'm sure you're getting different opinions.
I'm getting a lot of names. It's hilarious to listen to that, but I can't say the name. But I say nothing. I said nothing. No names.
You're my brother's age. You put one thing in the book that really grabs me because it brings me right back to him. And he uses this term, enjoy the moment. As
Smart
people, and I run hot, I run full speed on a regular basis, and so does he. And sometimes when we're together and we're in a specific place, wherever, the beach, wherever, he'll look and say, just enjoy the moment. And I think people really need to take what you put in your book and to use that philosophy in life to appreciate what we have as human beings and as individuals. And
So true.
On that?
I learned a long time ago when my brother was murdered. I'll get to go back into the book a little bit. I did learn after that, and I wanted to the therapy and all that, I said, I started really appreciating life, really appreciating moment to moment, because Anthony, my brother, didn't know he was going to be put down. And that guy was the spice of life. You would have loved my brother. He was the spice. You would 2 minutes of talking to my brother. I love that guy. You would just say, I love that guy. If that could be taken away, a guy like that, who just the spice of life, I learned very early when I saw that. I said, I don't know when I walk out that door, what's going to happen. I want to enjoy each moment. I enjoy each moment with my son. I make sure I just take a step back now. It's very important. I meditate, all that stuff. All this shit to get through life. I really try to take a step back because we are alike like that. I am on 15 all the time. Sometimes you don't realize what you have. Sometimes you don't realize the moment you're in is great. You don't realize and you let it go by. Man, I should have taken a little more time on that because that was a good place to be. And now I'm learning, and I've learned, and again, it's a process. It's a process to take your time and just really relish what you have, because you and I right now, right, we can walk outside later on today and it's done. And that's what I learned from my brother. And that's why I try to live life to its fullest now. I try to keep health and all that good stuff. And to be honest with you, this book, I try to pay it forward because, look, I've been really lucky in my life also. Aside from the bumps and grinds and the peaks and valleys, I've had some good times. So why not pay this forward if I can help people through those tough times they're having? This is I'm giving you the pretty much the map of how to brush yourself off and get on to tomorrow.
And it seems like you're doing a great job with your son, Brandon. And, to read more about these life lessons, go out there and get Fathers, Brothers, and Sons Surviving Anguish, Abandonment, and Anthrax.
Thank you for getting, not only you have the book, but thank you for getting the book, understanding what's going on. And again, I'm not a preacher. I'm not preaching to anybody. I'm not doing any of that. I think it's important these days where there's something different out there that you could read and say, all right, if he did it, maybe I can do something like that, or whatever it is. Just get out of the zone of being down, because we all get down. And my thing is to pay it forward now.
Pay it forward and get back up, right? Last
Get
question.
back up and move towards tomorrow, man.
Last question I got for you, Frank.
I'm in.
When we get new music from Anthrax, ladies and gentlemen?
That's the question everybody wants to know. And that's great. And I promise my publicity person, I will only say my publicity person in Anthrax, she says, do not talk about the record. I won't. All I'm going to say is we're writing a great heavy record that I'm very proud of. So far, all good stuff. I'm very happy. And you know us, we take our time with our songs. Yeah. So we work it and make sure it's the right record. That's it. As bands do, everybody's looking towards next year, right? I'm hoping, I can't promise anything. I'm hoping next year is the year, but it's not up to us, is it? Nothing is up to us anymore, right?
No, it isn't. Not at all.
If people look on the Anthrax website, there's touring going on. There's touring booked. I want to play those. Everybody in the band wants to play those tours. Mm-hmm. But we all know it's not up to us anymore. It's up to the environment, what's going on in the world. And hopefully we'll get in a better place with this COVID-19 thing. And I want to tour, man. That's what Anthrax does. So I'm hoping to come back with a great record and a great tour. And that's what we want. That's what you want to do. We want to go see shows. I want to see shows. I want to go out and hang out. I want to play more shows. I want to do tours. We just played a show on Sunday, Rockville. It was great. Welcome to Rockville. You get that little taste, right? It's like, it's like you're on a diet. He's like, I can't have any more. I want more, but you can't.
Well, I love the live stream, by the way. You guys went into the deep cuts, and I'm not going to talk Anthrax music with you anymore because I don't want Heidi getting mad at me, and I don't want Heidi getting mad at you.
Just about the new stuff. The old stuff is fine. Just new stuff she doesn't want to talk about.
I love it. And I do love State of Euphoria, Frank. I know you guys talk about how you guys rush that a little bit. I love it. I think there's.
I love it too. You have to understand. I always want to straighten that out. It's not that I dislike the record. I'm very proud of the record. It's just like there's a couple of songs in that record I just wanted to work on a little bit more. I wish we had more time to listen to and live with for a little while longer. This way, little twist here and there. Sure. Not a big deal, but I'm still proud of it. And it still stands up. Obviously, people are still talking and loving that record, so it matters to me.
Well, I want to thank once again Frank Bello for joining Travis Faley with KNAC.com. We're talking Fathers, Brothers, and Sons, his fantastic book. You can get it wherever you get your books, Amazon, wherever.
We could also get a signed copy from rarebirdlit.com. Rarebirdlit.com. You can
Get
look
your
it up.
signed copy, rarebirdlit.com. Frank Bello. Thank you once again, Frank. I really
Thanks,
appreciate
Travis. You
it.
have a great day, brother.